This clip is from the Boundary Riders podcast, and if you do enjoy this, then make sure to check out the full episode out every single Wednesday morning on YouTube and Spotify. And he did nothing to stop him either. Buddy, Mason Cox got absolutely fucking destroyed.
Oh, yeah, so we'll just leave it at that.
Anyway, let's get to the trade preview throughout the last couple of days. Of course, we had the trade video on Monday, but we've had one request made in the last few days, which is Buku Kamas has decided to, or wants to be traded to Carlton. I think this is a very underrated get for them.
Yeah, I think especially when Silvani's going, I think he can go forward if he need, which I doubt. Well, could be interesting without Curnow, but he can play both ends, and he's shown decent signs over the course of his career.
I'm going to do a Sam McClure here. Wait, do you think that Charlie Curnow is going to leave?
Yes.
You think he's going to leave?
Yeah.
Are you putting it out there right now? Wow. That's a big call. I hate when he does that. Anyway, well, let's get to the rumours, because that's really the only call request at this stage. So, Christian Petracca, first of all. Kind of Sydney have kind of fallen off the track at this point. No one's really talking about him going to the Swans, even though it was kind of a talking point early on. There's been a lot of confidence from Adelaide that they can try and get Petracca to the club. He seems to be warming up to a life in South Australia. But also the Gold Coast Suns aren't ruling themselves out either, thinking that maybe Sam Flanders, who was requested, I think it was last week, that he wanted to request a trade outside of the Gold Coast, that he could be within a deal for Melbourne if he decides he wants to go there. I don't know about that one, to be honest. But there's also other reports saying that he's going to be staying at the club. That's what Max Gawn said anyway.
So pretty much it's, they don't know. They don't know.
So we've got Hawthorn in the race, we've got Gold Coast, Adelaide, and then the Swans are probably down at bottom now. I mean, or Melbourne he stays. I don't know. This is very hard to judge at this point.
I think the fact is he's still got a couple of years left on the contract, that it's what best suits Melbourne. I think that if Melbourne can get a trade done with the right team, they'll say, you've got an offer from Gold Coast. That's our best offer. Do you want to go up there?
Yeah.
Or if not, well, we're going to keep you for another year at least.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where we're at. I personally think that he will be at Melbourne next year. I just think that's the case.
I think that as well.
I mean, considering last year, there was a lot more speculation regarding him wanting to leave. This year, they're kind of saying that he'd be happy to stay. I feel like with a contract still there, I think Stephen King, he feels like the guy who would want a Christian Petracca type in his team.
That's what I think, is that if Melbourne didn't have a coach, I think you'd be more inclined to leave. The fact is that they have a coach. Yes, it's Stephen King. They don't know what they're going to get, basically. But I think that he holds a bit of stability that they have the coach.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah, I think that also... He seemed like he had a pretty good night at the Brownlow, I guess. Max Gawn, there was a bit of a report as well that he was talking to, I think, the CEO or something to do with Hawthorn. So that's a great report. You love to see that. Love those sort of reports. You know, I saw him having dinner at Dustin Martin having dinner at the Gold Coast with Damien Hardwick. I think he's going to be playing the Gold Coast next year, and it just never happened. But I mean, look, the Dan Rioli one was kind of true, wasn't it? Anyway, on good signs for Melbourne, Judd McVie looks pretty positive signs right now that he will be staying at Melbourne. That's good signs for them. I'm not too surprised by that. It was either them or Fremantle. I'd be a bit surprised if... I mean, I think there was probably a lot more speculation because of Simon Goodwin leaving.
Yeah.
Getting sacked. But yeah, I mean, I think that's good for Melbourne. And there's a couple of teams that could be looking at maybe Melbourne as well. There was a bit of reporting regarding Bailey Humphrey. A lot of clubs trying to just get into the Gold Coast, say, hey, you know, a lot of clubs, especially who are losing big players, are like, we want Bailey Humphrey, but Gold Coast pretty much said hands off. We don't want to get rid of him.
Yeah, no, I've heard reports that he loves Gold Coast. He'll be a player for his career at the Gold Coast. I know he'll never leave. I'm confident in saying that.
Yeah, there was some talk. Oh, you're doing the
I'm
opposite.
confident. I'm confident. I'm taking it. Yeah,
he's not leaving.
Yeah, he's not. I'll confidently say it. Bailey Humphrey will never leave the Gold Coast. I'll be confident on that.
He's made a big call there.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. He's not leaving me.
You can clip it now and you can be like, in 4 years, like, he's requested a trade, but I'm that confident.
Yeah, I think there was some reports earlier on in his career that there was a bit of homesickness, but he seems like he's pretty happy up there now. Brodie Mihocek's been linked to a couple of clubs, Carlton, Melbourne, and Sydney. It seems like Melbourne are probably the front runners at this stage. We'll get to a bit of Sydney in a moment, but at the moment it's pretty much up in the air. He's got a bit of a decision to make at this stage. I feel like he leaves, to be honest. I think that I've lent towards him staying, but I think after that performance in the prelim final, and I think Collingwood are starting to lean over to, oh shit, we got way too old now.
Yeah.
We kind of need to get a couple of younger players in. We need to kind of let go of some of these older players. I think Brodie Mihocek's probably on the out.
Sadly, I think he is. I think that... what do you think he's worth, though? I think that he's worth a second.
Yeah.
I don't think he's worth a first.
He's too old for a first.
And in a way, he's not the big busting forward that a Melbourne or a Carlton need.
Well, he's never kicked more than 50 goals.
Yeah.
So he's not going to be that sort of player for a club. He's going to be consistent, but, well, if he's fit anyway. I mean, I think the second half of this season, he's been pretty poor, really. So I think if I'm Collingwood, you probably let him go. I think they will let him go. Melbourne, that's the thing, though, like you said with Melbourne. Is that the player they need? I mean, they need a key forward, but he's not. He's now going to get the top defender.
Yeah. Do you think Stephen may go and return in a way? That's the potential that I think that could happen, is that's when Stephen May moves to Collingwood, and stability for the next couple of years for Darcy Moore, Jeremy Howe, and just to help them a bit for the stability down back.
Yeah, I mean, that wouldn't be a bad call.
If that was me for list management of Collingwood, that's what I'd be asking. It's like, I want him for Stephen May.
Yeah. I think that, if I'm being honest, I think that's a little bit unders for Melbourne, to be honest. I think that's probably
picks, but I'd be offering straight away. It's like, well, if you want Mihocek, it's like, well, then we want Stephen May. That's how I think it's a pretty
similar age bracket as well. However, with Jack Buller pretty much requesting a trade from the Swans to Collingwood, people are saying that could be the replacement for going Sydney's way. Now, some people are saying that Jack Buller will be the replacement for Brodie Mihocek, but he has been linked to Sydney at times. The more I think about it, the more I think that it would be an okay idea, considering the other options the Swans have been looking at. It seems at this point in time, even though Charlie Curnow's still got the links with the Swans, it seems more than likely that he's going to be going either Geelong, Gold Coast, and then it's either staying at Carlton or going to the Swans. Because Sydney, I just don't get how Geelong get this done, to be honest with you. But yeah, I mean, we'll get to Curnow in a moment. Jamie Elliott still got a decision on his hand. He's got a lot of interest from the northern state, obviously, of Queensland, in Brisbane and the Gold Coast. More on the Gold Coast point of view, but Brisbane still have interest. I still think he stays.
It'll be interesting, but the thing is, if you look at the Gold Coast forward line, if they bring in Curnow or an Elliott, does it mean that someone like... Because they've admitted Gold Coast, they're not trading Walter or Reid. If I'm both of them, I'm looking at maybe leaving. Because if you bring in Elliott, who do you leave out? Because you're going to have Long in the team. You're going to have Bailey Humphrey up forward, King, and some others. It's like...
Well, you're going to need two keys. So they're picking from Reid, who had a pretty poor final series, but you know the potential.
Yeah.
Jed Walter, who wasn't in the team towards the end of the year.
Farah.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting what their forward line looks like if they can grab Elliott. But then you look at the players who will probably leave, delisted or retire by the end of next year. Nick Holman, I don't think gets a spot. Farah, I don't think will get a spot.
He may get dropped.
I think he gets dropped by the end of next year.
Okay.
At the end of next year, that people like Holman will lose their spot. Because you've got to think, like, Ainsworth as well is still there.
Yeah, I was going to say Ainsworth.
Elliott Himmelberg, I know he's been injured, but he was a tall forward option. It's just like, they've got a lot of players, and obviously, of course, you've got to think of academy stuff that they've got to come in as well. So it's going to be interesting how much of a squeeze that you want to get this talent in, and the potential of the players of Elliott. But what are you going to lose in the meantime? Because you've got Elliott for 2 years, maybe 3. Walter, you can have 15 years.
Question is as well, Jamie Elliott's had an outstanding year, but this is his best year of his career.
Yeah.
Has he got? I don't want to say he hasn't got any more in him, because I think he can, but is he going to be that sort of player for the next 3 years? That's a bit hard to say.
It's kind of like when you look at Taylor Walker. He had such a great year 3 years ago?
Yeah, 2 years ago.
2 years ago. And he just went down from there. It's like, are you going to bring in Elliott and expecting him to get 50 goals? No. I wouldn't think he'd do that again. Yeah. He's never got more than 45, I don't think, before this year.
Yeah, I don't think he got plus more than 40.
Yeah, 40. It's like, it's a big hole to fill. It's a big player to have. But you might be hampering your youth coming through to play senior football. Yeah. And you don't want that for such a team like Gold Coast.
Yeah, well, I honestly think the Gold Coast, their list is probably one of the best in the comp. And I think they got that finals experience this year. Great. I mean, no one expected them to win a game, so for them to win is great. And I think everyone kind of forgot before that game the Dimmer factor.
Yeah.
Obviously, how great that is and how much he brings to a finals team. But the thing is, as well, they have great youth and they have they have very good experienced players, but yeah, I mean, they don't want to lose. They don't want to have someone want to go out. Like Reed and Walter, yes, but even Humphrey, who we know he's not going to leave, but there could be a player around that mark who could decide to go. And you don't want to see them fall off because they've let go of too many youth players because they wanted to get some really experienced players for a couple of years.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think they'll get it in pretty good stead. I don't think that Damien Hardwick will do what he did to the Tigers really and just cull all their small players and younger players and then leave him in the situation he kind of did.
And then and if Brisbane, as you said, Queensland teams, they've got one of the best forward lines in the game. Bringing in Elliott, what does it mean? Like a Lohman or a Gallup or a one of their smalls, other players that are there that I can't think of right now, lose their spot. To bring in Elliott, it's going to hamper them, I think, in a way that's...
Well, they've already got Oscar Allen coming in as well.
You've got Oscar Allen coming in already as well. So you got to think, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
It'll
be an interesting call for whichever club. I still think he stays at Collingwood, but I think it's going to be an interesting call in the next couple of days. Now, on Jamarra Ugle-Hagan, it seems that in his exit interview, he's kind of been... it's either been told or it's been confirmed at this moment after the exit meeting that he's going to be looking for a new home. He's been widely speculated to be going to the Swans, or they've been having interest in him for quite a while now. But now it seems all of a sudden that the Gold Coast have emerged as a contender for him. He's obviously the Suns. We've talked about him a minute ago with Charlie Curnow. I am very surprised that he has a market for him, to be honest. And when I showed you this today, you immediately messaged me back and said, no way, because he'd be going to the biggest party state in the country. Yeah. The biggest party city in the country.
Yeah.
Let's just leave him out of those areas for now.
Let's just be cautious about it. If he wants a career in the AFL, Gold Coast is the last spot I'd probably go to.
Yeah.
I really do believe that. And I don't know if the Gold Coast... I just explained to you why that they don't really need an Elliott type. I know that, but obviously Jamarra is a different, younger player. He has the biggest potential in the world. I think it gets wasted at Gold Coast. I really do.
Yeah. I mean, they've got enough tall forwards there.
Exactly.
Young youth talent. They don't need a Jamarra.
No.
I think it's very interesting. I thought they'd probably be the last club looking at Jamarra, to be honest.
It's the last place if... I'm anyone who wants to see the potential of Jamarra wants to go to Gold Coast.
Yeah, I'm still a bit surprised that I'm a bit surprised that Collingwood haven't looked at him a bit more. I think that they need a key forward, and they've always been pretty good at turning players around in my eyes, but maybe he just wants to be out of Victoria. I think it's probably the big one.
Maybe.
Yeah. So Zach Merrett, we talked about this earlier in the podcast, but it seems pretty much at this point that Andrew Welsh is just pretty much just saying, the new Essendon president is saying, look, he's staying. In handcuffs, in the cage, you're going to be brought out for round one in an Essendon jumper. No matter if you're trying to rip yourself out of those handcuffs, you're staying at the Bombers.
He could stay, but I don't. The amount of other teammate who could see him, especially at the Brownlow, who pretty much were livid that he was there. He doesn't. The stance that brings to the players and be like, This guy doesn't even want to be here. He was our captain, and he doesn't even want to be here. Why do we still have him on this list? Basically, I think it won't be all the players. I think some of them could remend bridges, but there might be a few that be like, I don't even want to see him at this club.
Yeah. I think that he's obviously not going to come back and be captain, but maybe there's a little bit of talk here, basically, that he's just trying to play the cards close to his chest here, Andrew Welsh, and just basically saying that, like, look, we're saying he's staying to basically just up his price from Hawthorn. Maybe that's the way they're playing.
Well, their parents just plummeted his price with what's happened in the last 3 weeks, so they got to try and bank up a bit of credibility for it.
Yeah, because I mean the thing is, if the players saying they like don't want him and stuff, probably Hawthorn are like, look, he doesn't even. Yeah. You guys don't even want him. We'll take him for like a third.
Yeah, we'll want a third then.
Look, guys, we'll give you some charity. We'll take a second round pick. Yeah. And look, Henry Housewaite can come to us. We'll take Henry Housewaite off your hands. We'll give you guys Henry Housewaite as well. It's like Do you think where do you think he is next year?
He's not at Essendon.
You think he's gone?
He's gone. I think more basically. I think it was more Andrew being just desperate, saying we're keeping him, like hoping that maybe.
I think he wanted to make a good first impression, showing how strong he is.
Yeah, I think it's good. It's nice to see. Like, at least he shows a bit of passion, saying he's not leaving. But sometimes you just have to give up and be like, he's out the door. He's out the door.
Yeah. I mean, and on good news for Essendon, Jordan Ridley, despite some links to Brisbane and even a point where it looked like he may even request a trade to the Lions, it seems that Mitch Cleary has reported that he is now staying and is more than happy to stay, that he's fully committed. After, it seems like he met with the new medical staff or medical person who's joined the Bombers, and he seems a lot more confident after having a lot of injury woes that they can, help out with his rehab and stuff, and he'll be ripe and ready to go.
Do you think they may have told him, like, if you stay, you'll be captain? I know that might seem very bad, but like a bad thing. But do you think maybe they said that you might be up there in the leadership group or something along
Surely,
those lines?
I mean, maybe, but I think the next captain's got to be Andrew McGrath.
Yeah,
I think it has to be.
I think even late in the year, like when all those injuries, he did a bit more midfield, and he did show a bit more leadership from the midfield.
For me, when I've seen him over the year, even though Zach Merrett I've always saw as, like, before this point, I've always seen him as a great leader. I've always thought that Andrew McGrath would be next up.
Yeah.
And I think he is their next captain.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they haven't announced it already, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, I think that's their next captain. Maybe Jordan Ridley has been told that you'll get a better role.
Yeah.
Maybe they've paid him a bit more. Maybe just to save a bit of face. Like, look, we're going to lose Zach Merrett. We can just cut off his contract and just give a bit more to Jordan Ridley, just so they can save a bit of face. But maybe, I don't know. It happened with Travis Boak back in the day. They gave him a captaincy. I don't think Jordan Ridley's got that sort of prestige around him to get him a captaincy, but I think he definitely could be a little bit pushed up in the pecking order at the club. Maybe that's good, maybe an option. Now with Charlie Curnow, it seems at this point that his trade preference is to join Geelong. Oh my god, Geelong again, bro. Fuck these these guys can't have another farm. You can give them like 700k, pay them unders. Charlie Curnow's like, look, I'll get paid unders. Look, I'll take a bit of a pay cut. Can I have like 3 sheep stations and a cotton farm and all this sort of stuff, and like a brand deal with what's their brand or something, some clothing brand?
Oh no, Cotton On.
Cotton On, yeah. I'll get a brand with Cotton On, but just under the table.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck me. Why is Geelong even doing this? Like, I mean, they've got Shannon Neal, yes, Jezza Cameron, whatever, but I mean, he's what? Curnow's I think 29 or turning 30 or something. Cameron's going to play. I mean, he showed this year. Unless he gets a massive injury, he's going to play for another 3 years at least. So Charlie Curnow's, let's say, so Shannon Neal's going to have to wait for another 3 years, let's say. Because, I mean, they can't play all 3 of them there.
Because you got to think also that they've got, Jack Martin, Stengel, Close, Myers, Manor, plus the 2 tools, then plus Curnow. Where does he fit? Where does it?
If I'm Shannon Neal, I'm thinking, fuck these cunts. I'm finally got my spot on the team late last year when Tom Hawkins retired.
Yeah.
And now we're going to be picking up Charlie Curnow. There's no way he's in the team.
No.
So I'd be feeling pretty shitty if I was.
And fuck knows how they're paying for him. Bloody hell. And I don't care if they say, oh, he's taking a pay cut. We all know he's taking a pay cut, but getting unders under the table.
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
Well, maybe he's just like Chris Judd. He's just very into cardboard.
Yeah.
He's very into cardboard. And then they've got a couple more. It does seem that Cal Archie is pretty much all but certain to be joining the Crows at the end of the year. Obviously hasn't made the request as of yet, but a lot of reporting, especially from Cal Toomey, is pretty much saying it's a done deal.
Yeah, and Cal Toomey doesn't normally...
He's usually pretty good.
He's normally pretty good. So, yeah, it's an interesting one. Like, maybe for the Crows, it'll make... When Rankin comes back from suspension, push him more up, ranking up to the midfield a bit. They can actually use that speed and X factor in the midfield, which is what they've lacked, as we saw during the final series. So it's a good get for them. It's an underrated one, I think. That I don't think anyone really to be honest, they didn't notice Archie until the final series last year, and this year they haven't really noticed him all year. He's still, to me, he's still very underrated. But
oh yeah, he's completely underrated.
Yeah, I think it's a good get for the Crows. Sadly,
yeah, unfortunately. And then finally, Ollie Florent still seems that he's got some interest from the Sydney Swans, but from Carlton from the Sydney Swans, Ollie Florent, but. Cal Toomey has reported that any trade that would be done for Ollie Florent will not involve Charlie Curnow. Which, I mean, if I'm Sydney, I'm like, look, we'll give you... If we're going to go get Charlie, then I would be including that in the deal.
I think you have to, because I don't...
There's no other way you get it done.
To be honest, if you're seeing that, like, I think it pretty much says that he's not going to Sydney. Basically.
Yeah.
If Ollie Florent's not in that deal, then... I don't see how Sydney can get the deal done without it being some of their really big players.
Yeah, I mean, the Swans have got Hayden McLean, Jack Buller, who's pretty much sold. He's going to go Collingwood. Amati, which Sydney, there has been reports around that Sydney are trying to get him signed before next year anyway, before he goes into I think it's free agency at this point. But I agree with that. I think the Swans need to lock him down. I know you don't really have much faith in Amati, but I do. I really like him as a player. And I think out of the three, honestly, out of Logan McDonald, Hayden McLean, and Amati, I'd be putting Amati as the top of the list.
I just lost a lot of, just a little bit of faith after he played Port Adelaide, but that's just.
Well, I mean, he had 9 scoring shots. Yes, they all missed. Yes, they all missed. But how many players have 9 shots on goal in a game? Not very times.
But how many of those that have 9 shots miss them all?
Yeah, well, exactly. That is the truth. But he's definitely, I think he's what Sydney need. And I think that no matter what, if Sydney are going to pick a new forward to come to the club this year or next year, I think that he can play a lot more the best role that he can, which is, deep forward. And I think that if it's a Charlie Curnow or a Brodie Mihocek, I think their best roles, both of those guys, are in between the arcs to forward, and kind of same with Jamarra. But yeah, I mean, if I had to pick a player right now that I think will go to the Swans, it's probably leaning towards Brodie in my eyes, because of Jack Buller. Yeah, basically. But yeah, that's pretty much all the rumours and the trades we've got, and that's